Welcome to Isla Guadalupe. We're going to try this one more time. We're dealing with some pretty unstable technology, but we're going to try and do our best to bring you live into the shark cages about 15 feet below Isla Guadalupe. We're so lucky today to have Dr. Chapple from Stanford and Dr. Mauricio Hoyos from Hoyos. Let's go ahead and see if I can get you down into the shark cages, and let's see what they're doing down there. Hi guys!
Good morning!
How are you?
Good.
Can you have Laura move out of the shot and give us an idea of what's going on down there?
Well, hey, this is Guadalupe Island. We're in the best place on earth to see white sharks. Right now we have a big female. Guadalupe Island is the best place to see these animals because a lot of things. It has a really good visibility, like 100 feet, and the record of sharks that you get to see in one day, it's 33.
Oh my goodness. Taylor, I know we're kind of in the middle of the Eastern Pacific. Can you talk a little bit about the Eastern population and what you guys are doing down here?
Yeah, so we know that there are at least 6 different populations of white sharks around the globe. There's a population on the east coast of the United States, in the Mediterranean, sharks down in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and 2 different populations in the Pacific. Right now we're in Isla Guadalupe, which is part of the Northeast Pacific population. So that's sharks that are in California, up and down the Oregon and Washington coast, all the way down here in Mexico. These animals make large movements out to the Pacific. So I'm down here with Mauricio in this wonderfully clear water, this beautiful place, where Mauricio's been working for about the last 10 years, studying the sharks here. So part of what we do is we learn about where these animals are going, what they're doing while they're there. But one of the big questions we always have is, well, how many sharks are there? It's a lot of work that Mauricio has done down here in Mexico, similar to the things that we've done up in California, is to estimate these populations and figure out how healthy the shark populations are that we have off our coast.
And Mauricio, can you talk a little bit about the work? I mean, you've spent a lot of time down here trying to solve some questions about this population and how they move, and can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, we started in 2003, and we wanted to know what the sharks are doing here in Guadalupe Island. So we are tagging the sharks with a transmitter that it's called an ultrasonic transmitter, and it has sensors about temperature and depth. As soon as you set that transmitter in the body of the shark, you have to follow the shark for 24 hours in order to see what are they doing. And we have tagged little ones and big ones, and we found that the little ones remain very close to the shore, from 50 meters to the surface. But in the case of the big sharks, we found that they were going to deep water, 200 meters, 300 meters, and they remained like that for hours. When they were coming to the surface, they were doing that in front of northern elephant seal colonies, which is a species of seal. And in December, we found that they were feeding on these animals because they have a lot of fat, and that's what the shark is looking for. They need a lot of energy, and that's why they are targeting this particular species.
Wow, that's amazing. And Taylor, over the last couple of days, we've been trying to put some tags on sharks that are a little less long-term. Can you talk about those tags?
Yeah, I'll talk about those a little bit. So this is the type of tag that we've been trying to put out over the past few days. This is a little different than the tag that Mauricio just described. Mauricio's tags will stay on for maybe the next 3 or 4 or 5 years if we're lucky. This is a tag that stays on for a shorter period of time. And instead of us having to follow the shark, it does all the work for us. So as you can see, it's got a camera on it, and it this just clamps onto the fin of the shark right here. So as the shark's swimming around, the camera gets to see what the shark sees. And it takes a bunch of information about how fast the animal is going, how often it beats its tail. But the really cool part is that we get to see everything that the shark sees. If it sees seals or sea lions, if it's going to try to eat them, we see that. If it sees other bigger sharks or other smaller sharks, we see all that too. So it's a mixture of all these different types of tags and technologies and hundreds of hours out in the field, in the water with the sharks, that we can really try to understand what they're doing and why they're here. And that's what keeps Mauricio and I in and on the water most of the year. Mauricio's out on the water 10 months a year. That's so we can try to understand what these amazing animals are doing. These animals that are so important to our marine system, so important to the health of our oceans. And we're spending most of our lives out here trying to figure out how we can keep them healthy and understand what and how they're doing it.
I love it. Now, I'm going to roll a little bit of video of these tags on the top side. So there's a float. They float. How do they actually work?
So these tags specifically?
Yes, the tags.
So these tags are meant to be completely non-invasive, so we don't want to, in our work, we don't want to injure the sharks at all, so it'll literally clamp onto the fin as the shark swims by. And if you get real close to this, you can see that the metal on these will eventually wear away. It's bubbling off right now, and so after a few days, this tag will just pop to the surface, transmit up to a satellite. So what Mauricio and I have to do is we have to communicate to the satellites. They'll go out in the middle of the ocean and find these, and it seems like that might be an easy thing to do with a bright orange float. But it turns out trying to find this in the middle of the ocean is incredibly hard. Once we get it back, we can hook it up to our computer, and we get to find out what the animal's been doing for a few days, which is pretty awesome.
Amazing. And what are you guys learning, Mauricio, about the movements of these sharks? How many sharks are there, and are they moving particular areas in the Pacific?
Well, the ones that I have tagged here have been recorded also in Hawaii and also in California and Oregon, so that's really interesting. And now we have found that we get to see little sharks in Guadalupe Island, so we are trying to tag those sharks with another kind of transmitter that is called a satellite transmitter, and with that one you can know about the migration patterns of these animals. We would like to know if these little ones are going to specific places in the Mexican mainland in order to protect those places, because those places are called shark nursery areas. So we think that they were born in those places and then they come to Guadalupe back and forth until they are big enough for long migration. We know that from Guadalupe the big sharks can go as far as Hawaii and also to a place that is called the White Shark Cafe, which is between Hawaii and Guadalupe Island.
Oh my gosh, so they're moving all over the place. And can you tell me a little bit about how you become a white shark scientist? I know there's a lot of math and science that's needed for this, to be able to come out and have such kinds of adventures. Can you talk about the math and science that you guys have used to help you learn more about these animals, Taylor?
Yeah, so the thing about what we do is that it's not any one topic or subject. So in order to understand white sharks, we're in the field with them, but we also spend tons of time in front of a computer designing tags, programming tags. I'm a population modeler by training, so I do very complex math. So I spend lots of time in front of the computer with math. We have engineers, we have all sorts of people with very different skills that make this possible. So it's not just a few of us in the water or tagging sharks, it's a whole team of people with massively different skills. So if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a computer programmer, if you love math, if you really like to get your hands on animals, it's all those things together that really make this possible. So it's all these different fields that combine to allow us to study sharks.
Great. All right, so I'm going to start taking questions from our panelists. We have a lot of people from all around the world, lots in the Northeast, New York, Ohio.
Yeah, Ohio.
Yeah, Ohio, North Canton, Home School, from New Jersey. And there's a question from Jolene, and she says, we are studying why it's important to protect the sharks, and how can we protect sharks from becoming extinct?
Well, the sharks are very important in the marine ecosystems because they keep in check the population of their prey. If you remove the sharks from the oceans, all the prey are gonna grow a lot, and they're gonna feed in the other organisms in the trophic levels.
Great. I have another one. Someone is asking from Ohio. Oh, your cousin from Ohio says hi, Taylor.
Hi! I'm Bethany, Teresa.
One of our panelists wants, one of our viewers wants to know what happens if something goes wrong and a shark gets in the cage. That's pretty rare, right?
Well, it is not that rare. Last year, we had a lot of incidents, and unfortunately, when the shark gets trapped in the cage, they don't have backwards, so they go inside of the cage. And that's why we have been working together with the Mexican government in order to change the cages, and now the cages are different. In the past, this opening was really wide, and that's why the little sharks were getting inside of it, and now, as you see, it's different. They cannot get inside of this. And also, we are trying to change, we are trying to teach people how to handle the bait, because that's part of the problems. If you pull the bait very close to the cages, is when you get these kind of accidents. But this year, we have been very lucky, and we have had no accidents at all.
Ah, fantastic. All right, Taylor.
Yes.
We're fourth graders from Woodland Elementary School in Maryland, and they would like to know, how deep in the ocean are you? How deep do sharks go, and how deep are you?
Well, right now we're only a few feet below the surface. What we try to do is get the sharks to come up to us. We have nice light up here. It's really pretty to see them. The sharks can go hundreds of meters down in the water column. We know that when the sharks swim offshore to the White Shark Cafe, the males are swimming down to about 1,000 feet, 150 times a day. So they're swimming down and up. The sharks, Mauricio, do you know what's the deepest record we have of a white shark? Do you know?
1,250 meters.
Oh my goodness.
So that's about
over a mile.
Yeah, it's an incredible distance. So that's about 1,350 meters. So that's just under 4,000 feet, which is pretty incredible.
Another question from you all: How warm is the water? Isla Guadalupe is known for its very clear water. How warm is the water down here?
Well, most of the time it's between 18 degrees and 20 degrees Celsius, which is like Fahrenheit.
It's somewhere around about almost 70.
Almost 70 in Fahrenheit.
But the cool thing is that the temperature of the water doesn't really affect the white sharks. They're warm-bodied, so they are similar to us, where they maintain a warmer body temperature. So they can come down into this is the warmest water here. They can go into the cold water that we have in California, and they still maintain their same temperature. It's pretty unique, and that's how they're able to catch their seal prey, because they can stay warm and stay really active.
Very cool. Lots of questions from all over. Hi, everybody in Data Point. Good to see you. From Shelley Wilson, I'm not sure where she's from, but she's wondering, how did you guys get interested in studying about sharks, and how would one go about becoming a marine biologist?
Well, in my case, when I was a little kid, I saw the movie Jaws, and I fell in love with the white shark, and I decided to study biology in Mexico City, and then I did my master's and my PhD in La Paz in the Interdisciplinary Center of Marine Science.
I was sort of similar, but I think I saw an article in National Geographic had a big white shark on the front cover of it, and I just thought, wow, those are really amazing animals. And I think the way that both Mauricio and I have gotten here is by spending a lot of time studying the background information, knowing our math, knowing our science, and it really just takes a lot of, I guess, determination. I mean, Mauricio has been coming out here for the past 15 years, and he was telling us last night that he first came out with just the tagging pole. You know, for the past 10 or 15 years, now he has a boat, now he has an actual place to sleep. So it takes a lot of time, but if it's something you really want to do, it is possible. I grew up in the great state of Ohio, and now I live on the ocean year-round studying animals like this, so it doesn't matter where you are. If it's what you'd like to do, you can get there.
I love it. There's some second graders in Elm Grove Elementary that are wondering how many sharks have you seen and how many are around you?
Well, today we saw like two different, right?
Yep.
Two males, but now I saw a big female. Yesterday, during the afternoon, it was awesome. We saw a lot of sharks, actually a big female, probably 5 meters, probably. It was very close to us. We were trying to send that transmitted, but we couldn't do it.
Great. All right, from St. Christopher School in Rocky River, Ohio, while studying the sharks, have you discovered any other life-threatening species to the sharks, or are they at the very top?
That's yours.
Yeah, so we always had this assumption that white sharks are on the very top of the food chain. But over the past 10 years or so, we've started to understand more that they're pretty close to the top, but they're not at the top. We've had incidences of orcas, so big killer whales, that can group hunt, and they'll actually hunt and kill white sharks. So I was recently in South Africa doing some research, and we had 2 orcas that came through and killed a number of white sharks. So they are, they can get about 30 feet long, and they work together cooperatively. And so we know that now that they are actually predators of white sharks. It doesn't happen that often, but it can happen.
Oh, great. Lots of questions coming in, so I'm going to try and get to everybody. I see all of these questions are amazing. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. Do you study any other ocean animals? That's from Troy Middle School in New York.
Well, in my case, I study all the species of sharks in Mexican waters, which are like, in the islands that we have, like 12 species of sharks. Also, I have been done a few research in marine mammals, and that's it. Just marine mammals and sharks.
Yep. And I'm similar. When we spend this much time underwater, we don't want to just focus on one thing. We both spend a little bit more time studying other species of sharks. I occasionally do bird research, so stuff above the water. So we're pretty much interested in everything that's out there. So if we get an opportunity to study something else, we often do.
All right, I'm going to roll a little bit of shark swimming B-roll because everyone wants to see some shark swimming. Can you guys tell me a little bit, just very briefly, about the anatomy? Someone is asking about what's the best way to identify, is it the dorsal fin, tail?
You can talk about anatomy.
Yeah, okay, so between Mauricio and I, we have a few different ways that we identify sharks. And so sharks have a couple characteristics that are like our fingerprints. They're unique to us. And in California, where we don't have very clear water, we use the dorsal fin. So the fin that's on the back side of the shark is like a fingerprint to us. So we can take a photo of it and know which animal that is and know a lot about them, about their history, just from that identification. And Mauricio will do something different down here because the water's nice and clear.
So, in my case, since the visibility is really good, what we do is that we take a picture of the shark and we look for the pigmentation pattern in 3 different parts of the body: the gills, the pelvic fins, and the tail. There's a photo ID guide, and they have been identified up to 200 different sharks by these characteristics. Also, you can see conspicuous characteristics like birthmarks or lacerations in their body.
Great. 3 more questions, and I know time is running short, so I'm going to come back to you guys and ask 3 more questions. We have one from Southern Boulevard School in New Jersey, their 3rd grade classroom, and they want to know, where do you see the most great white sharks, and where do they have their babies?
Oh man, I wish we knew where they had their babies. That's something we're trying to figure out. But in terms of where we see the most great white sharks, there are those different populations around the globe, but we're still working on, how many we have in all these locations. But Guadalupe is absolutely the most fantastic place to see them.
Yeah. We have seen a lot of sharks in here. Please, if you have the chance, come to Guadalupe to see them.
Absolutely. All right, two more really quick. How big? I'm showing some shots of sharks that we've seen over the last couple of days. What is the biggest shark that you think we've seen in the last 3 days or so? How big is the shark?
Probably the female that we saw yesterday.
Yep, about 5 meters. So getting up to somewhere between 16 and 18 feet, somewhere in there. These big females that have come through.
Great. And last question for now. We're going to do another in about 40 minutes in Espanol, if anybody wants to come and join us and learn. But how many different types of species of shark are they, and what are the ranges of size?
Okay, so there's about 400 different species of sharks, and they range from a very small, it's called a lantern shark, that they get about this big, up to the whale sharks, which, get over 30 feet. So there's quite a huge range of sharks, and they eat things from fish and plankton to marine mammals and all sorts of things.
Great. All right, you guys, we've run out of time, but if you can go ahead and give a quick sign-off to everybody. I know there's a lot of classrooms out there that are watching, and if you have any personal shout-outs, you should do them now.
All right, I want to say hi to all of my family in New Jersey, Maryland, Washington, Ohio. So glad you guys could be here. Maybe next time you can come out with us.
Goodbye, everybody, and please, if you have the chance, come to Guadalupe Island to see these beautiful and majestic animals.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Hold on. I'm going to just give a quick sign-off to everybody. Thanks for joining us on the Ocean Lab. This is very new technology, and we appreciate you tuning in and asking lots of questions, and we hope that we learned a little something, and we will be back on the air in about 30 minutes. Thanks, everybody.